man. Just getting some stuff done. A lot of the admin work today. But I'm looking forward to this conversation. How are you going, man? How's your dental healthcare? Anything you want to update us on?
No, it's all good. I think literally 11 subscribers away from 5K. So
hey, that's sick, man.
I'm actually pretty hyped about that, trying to get there. I don't know what to do for the occasion. I'm sure I'll do something.
Order a pizza. Order a pizza and stream online. You have 10 cents. Just do something like that.
Today's episode is actually going to be really interesting because the past, I think it's our fourth one we established, the past 3 weeks have been very leak heavy. But today, we have like one leak. We don't have much. And now Showcase will be returning soon, so that'll probably change very quickly. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that we don't have a lot, but we have a little bit of discussion and stuff happening in the community. I think you guys are going to really enjoy some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. I think they're really good topics.
Yo, it's funny. Actually, I spoke to Andrew about that. I was like, yo, because I made the joke last week that we've now become the showcase, right? And I made the joke and I told him, I was like, yo, I appreciate you kind of slowing down. It's giving us something to talk about. And he's like, yeah, nah. He was like, I realized that me doing showcase every week was kind of taking away all the content from you guys. And I was like, I said it as a joke, but actually it is kind of true, right? Like it felt kind of weird reacting to some of the leaks. Whereas now if no one's covering the leaks, it feels good actually bring it to the light for the first time. So it's nice. I like this new format where it's like, there's still showcases, but it's not as much, and it gives us a chance to do this. I like it. It's good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, I have made quite a few videos where I react to some of the showcase content and things like that, and I feel like it works okay because I condense their hour-long stream into like my favorite
like 10 minutes,
5, 6, 10 minutes sort of a thing. And I think people do enjoy it quite a bit, but I obviously don't do all the leaks. I do like a very small fraction of them.
Yeah.
So it means that they can go and check that out as well and things like that. I like that dichotomy for sure.
Yeah.
So the first one is actually a leak. We usually start off with leaks. I like doing it this way. The drone art leak. Now, this is actually something I've been hoping for and waiting for quite some time now. We're not going to lie to you. The drone equipment art in the game is probably the biggest letdown in the overworld at the moment. It's pretty... I know it's place...
Components, right? Yeah.
I know it's placeholder, but still, it's just... It makes the game a lot harder to play. Let's just put it that way. But this is a great step forward. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of where they bring all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much for me to add on to that. Yeah, it's cool. Like, it's exciting to see that a lot of the stuff that our placeholders are going to get updated. We saw that last week with the Augment as well. So it's crazy. Like, we still have so much more to do in terms of the art, in terms of the UI, UX side of things, that it's going to be exciting to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next one we'll jump into is the Eluvatars were revealed. Now, we're going to talk about some of this discussion a bit later, but I thought this was kind of unusual, that there's a lot of discussion over delaying Illuvium beyond Wave 2, and people were unhappy about the GameStop sale and things. The Eluvatars Wave 2's getting revealed felt a little bit random to me, but I did know, I had been told some of the things that were available in this set and things like that, and it did make me very excited for it. Whoops, I don't know what I clicked. But this is a great lineup for Wave 2, and
it's sick.
I actually hope it comes soon, but we'll touch on that later.
Yeah, cool. Now, this is sick, man. I honestly love this so much more than Wave 1, which sucks to say because Wave 1 was Wave 1. It would have held a lot more weight if some of these were in there. But, I mean, dude, we got all of the apes. That's sick. Archelion, I think a few people have said that. Archelion looks sick. Bro, I don't know. You tell me. If you can't zoom in, right? But I was like, yo, you tell me. Does Rampy not look better than Rampire? Like, actually, Rampy look... No, you can't. Oh, can you? No, you can't. You can't. It's just zoomed in the back. Yeah. But, like, bro, Rampy looks so much better than Rampire. Umber looks sick. Aphisto. There's so much that looks sick on here, man. And the Terralinks, the Earth Terralinks looks awesome. Yeah. I'm excited. But, yeah, it was random. It was random that it kind of... Oh, sorry. You wanted to jump in?
I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if I agree. I actually like Wave 1 more, but I still really like Wave 2. There's a handful of these here that I really love, but as like an overall, I'm not going to say I like Wave 2 better than Wave 1, you know?
Oh, nuts. I would definitely say, like, Mjol, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but that looks sick. No, I think it's sick. But, yeah, dude, I agree. I didn't know this was going to be dropping just randomly like that. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed weird. There's definitely there could have been a lot more creative ways to do it closer to the sale, I think. But I mean, shit, it's here, so yeah,
I
enjoy.
do. I am curious to see how it shifts the conversation in the community, though, because well, I don't know how if it's going to turn hearts or change people's minds or anything like that. But I like the idea of everyone's like, we should wait for wave 2 and things like that, and they'll get shown the art and they're like, maybe I'm going to rethink this a little bit. Maybe they change their mind, maybe they don't. But I like the idea of adding more context or more fuel to the fire and just seeing if the hype is there without, coming to conclusions early. I think it's a good thing.
Kind of doing like a flavor test and seeing what people kind of feel about it, and like a sentiment check, really. No, I think that's fair. That's fair. But regardless whether people are super hyped about it, I still think we should slow down. With wave 2, even if there is a huge demand for it, I think slowing down creates an even higher demand over time. We haven't leaked any of the hollows. We can definitely do that over time. We can put a couple of them. I remember what Artemis did with the head turning filter thing. Obviously, I'm not saying do that again, but we could, even when we're tweeting things out, we could just randomize them and pick 2 of them and be like, yo, which one would you guys want? Something that I'm a massive fan of is like having some fun and like doing some scenarios, like random scenarios. Yo, you are stranded on an island. You can only pick one of these Eluvatars to be with you. Who you pick and why? And you just put 2 of these up, right? And it's just you can do fun stuff with it, where it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's creative, it's not just buy. It's you can still build it out and come up with something. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
Yeah, CCRY asked if there's any leaks of any new hollow, but I don't think there is.
Sinalf.
I know of.
Sinalf is a hollow.
Oh yeah, shit.
Right there, but Sinalf is a hollow.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Does he have a little mustache?
It looks like, yes. Looks like a James Bond kind of dude. Yeah. Yeah.
I've actually been playing the Illuvium arena a decent amount lately. Well, way more often than I was before. And I've started to fall really in love with the pistol shrimp line. They dish out the damage now. The meta shifted really quickly, and I'm excited to get involved with the meta more and make videos based on the meta and stuff like that when that exists in a PvP environment. And that really excites me.
But PvP is gonna be fun, man. Like legitimately, I'm just gonna stream like a couple of hours every night PvP. That'll be so much fun, especially if we like. Again, I think I mentioned this last time, but like if me and you link up, have a bit of a friendly wager, like it just adds some stakes into the content and the battle. Should be good.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have free-for-all tournament every week or something like that. I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Oh man, look, I'm speaking to some people in the back end. I'm really keen to do something like that where we have, even if it's community driven and what's the word, grassroots. I think that's fine. And I've actually done, I don't know if many people know this, I've had some TO or tournament organizing experience in the city that I'm in with the Smash scene. So I pretty much built up the Smash scene from nothing, building out like weekly tournaments, monthly tournaments, actually building out an ELO ranking, a way to track all of that stuff. There's so many things online that you can use, but I've had the experience with that. So even though it's not my job internally, I'm more than happy to help anyone on the outside in the community that wants to start building that up from a grassroots level, just because that way it makes it more fun. It gives us some structure, and there are ways to be creative. And like I said, I've spoken to a couple of people on the back end about it. So fingers crossed. I'm really excited. I think we keep saying it, but like that's when the fun really starts, right? PvP, you can be super competitive. And also, there's ways that you can do really fun stuff with that as well.
Need I gotta remind everyone that Q3 begins in 8-9 days,
give or take, yeah.
And PvP slated for Q3. Just putting that out there.
It's not coming on the first day of Q3. You guys need to relax. It's not coming first day of Q3.
But we are starting to get close, and it's very exciting. And yeah, I mean they've hit everything on the roadmap so far. Looking forward to the future. And we'll go to the next one. So I'll bring it up just now.
Real quick, I'll respond to Sweaty Goat. You don't need to buy an NFT to play Illuvium, man. If you're looking to play just the overworld and arena, you just need to get the beta pass, the beta code, and that's not really that hard. Just spend time in chat. I mean, I think Viper's in voice chat right now. If you join voice chat, Viper's got a bunch that he'll be happy to throw on your way if you say that I told you to hit him up. So yeah, that's all you need. If you want to play Illuvium 0, the land alpha, Jesus, the city builder alpha, then that you would need land, which is an NFT. But if you just want to play the other games, unnecessary. Sorry,
when the open beta comes out, all these games will be free to play.
Correct.
Alrighty. So let's jump into it. GameStop promo disc sale concludes. I don't know what we really wanted to talk about this. We have some other content to do with this in regards to community discussion. But basically, it sold just over 10K or maybe like 11K discs. And they've got the 5 and the 15 thing happening. They haven't sent out the details for how that's going to work yet, so don't bother asking. But what I assume is going to happen, and TSG might be able to correct me, is you're going to get an email with a code, because that's how they did the 20% off promo and all the free disc plate and stuff like that previously. And that code will slot into the merch store. That makes the most sense to me because the merch store already has the UI front and back end built for delivery and things like that. It would be really painful to manually do delivery type stuff. So that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't say anything on that if nothing's being said publicly. Well, we'll see what happens when we get to it. Sota, any ideas on when Wave 2 will be released? That is currently being discussed internally. It's slotted for Q3, so I think we're definitely going to be hitting Q3. It's just a question of when Q3.
Yeah. Well, marketing sub council has been discussing it pretty much on end, and we've got a few more discussions to take place. So we're going to have to postpone that for a little bit, but we are going to talk about the community discussions surrounding it soon. And so,
can we go back to that one thing? I just wanted to mention, just one thing. So again, we had this question, and I won't dive too much into it, but we had this question last week, right? Like, is the GameStop thing a success or a failure? Like, look, what I said before, it's not an overwhelming on either side, right? But one of the things that we need to kind of like acknowledge, I think, and we kind of talked about it internally as well. Again, we're super critical, but one of the pros that came out of it was that we sold about 10.7K, and that was essentially $550,000 in revenue, ETH only. So this is the first time that we've put something out without the use of SILB2. So the land, we had a bunch of SILB2. Wave 1, we had even with the alpha, we had a bunch of SILB2. This was the first kind of foray into this without that at all and just going into ETH alone. So in this market, obviously this has gone back up a little bit recently, but at the time it wasn't the case. And so $500,000 in ETH alone, I mean, it's nothing to kind of turn your nose at. So credit where credit's due, and that goes more to you guys in the community, because there's no way that we could have done it if you guys weren't around, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was good, and we got all those emails from the GameStop people and things like that. And I know
12,000 is the number. Last I heard.
I know it might feel like a small sample size, but I was in and around the Discord during the sale itself, and I saw lots of different people coming from GameStop that were asking for advice and help with setting things up. And it was a shame that onboarding wasn't easier, don't get me wrong. But it was good to see that they made all that way over there from the GameStop partnership. And I think that's really exciting.
100%.
All right. Sorry. I just got to fix up my lights a little bit.
Not an issue.
I made them slightly too bright. Okay.
What's next?
What's next is...
this is the competitive deck. Yeah, S-Shop.
Must be. Yes.
Yeah, if you go down, I personally, right there up the top. Yep. In the middle, 50 to 150. Yeah. So, I mean, there was a discussion, I don't know why it was happening in token chat, but about competitive decks, like how much did that cost? I know we've seen this, and you see me kind of asking a question. I didn't get involved. I just asked a question. But we've seen this. I've seen some of these tweets on Twitter as well. I know Najee, Vetamore, and a couple of people Viper was having this discussion. So it's happening here again. But what's your thought process here, man? Like for a top tier, highest level competitive deck, what should that look like in terms of costing? Do you reckon you should be able to get to that top tier viability spending no money, like $50? Like, what do you? And obviously it's hard to say because we don't know the value of everything, but based on
there's quite a few aspects to this that people keep missing from what I'm seeing, right? My biggest experience with something like this in the past has actually been Hearthstone. And I would say Hearthstone took me about $200-300 to probably become competitively viable in a general sense. But the big thing with Hearthstone was it was consistency. You had to be in and out of the game often to remain viable just in your skill set. But when new sets and things came out, you would probably have to drop $100-200 to stay relevant. And Hearthstone was popular for a very long time. So I wouldn't deny that. I mean, it had a free-to-play pathway in a sense, but not really. It would take way too much grinding. You would never be able to be competitive at all. But it also had the dismantling for dust feature, right? So for anyone that doesn't know, you have your duplicate cards, you dismantle them, you get dust, and you can craft specific things that you want to get. And that's how I see the Eluva decks. You capture 10 atlases, maybe you can sell 9, and now you can go and you can buy an Archie off the Eluva decks if you need to, right? So all that being said, I think this is a completely different structure. I think it's a very, very similar structure where you're opening as many packs as you can, and then you're selling half your crap to try and get the things you need to fix up 1 or 2 decks. Because that's where it gets interesting, is a competitive viable deck is $50 to $100. But if the meta changes often, let's say every 3 to 4 weeks, all of a sudden you need to buy a new deck. So even if it's $150 for a competitive deck, it's $150 every month to stay competitively viable. So this conversation is really nuanced and really detailed. That being said, I like to put it more on an annual basis. I like to think, okay, if someone's spending about $1,000 over the course of a year, I think that makes sense to me. But it's so damn hard to quantify it that you can't really figure that out.
Yeah. And I think it's... Look, I don't have that much experience in card games. I won't lie to you at all. With this conversation, like I just think there needs to be clearer definitions, really, in regards to like a competitive deck. What does that mean, right? Like, and I'll bring it back to Smash Brothers. Honestly, both games I think are going to rely on skill. So just having all the best cards doesn't mean shit if you don't know how to use it. Secondly, yeah, you could be competitive viable, but what does that mean? Does that just mean you can compete? Does that mean, because there's a massive, me and Viper have had this discussion, there's a massive difference between being just wherever in the middle, top 100 and top 10. From being even top 50 to top 10, there is a massive skill level. Like there's a massive skill difference. So when we're saying competitive, like is that viable in the highest echelon? Is that viable in just the middle echelon? Like what are we really talking about? It's really hard to have a serious conversation about this without really knowing what is it that we're talking about. And again, the skill like difference is going to be so high in these subgroups, it's absolutely insane. So, and also we don't know the value of the game itself in regards to how much is it going to cost to get alluvials. Like there's so many variables. I think having this discussion now is a bit premature, and it just look, and people are getting butthurt and being emotional about things that they just don't have details on, and it's just interesting for me to kind of just see. It's interesting for me to kind of see.
What I will say is I think volume is going to dominate here. The one thing I've learned from all the Eluvatar stuff is accessibility does seem to be king. And low price points and being able to casually buy things every couple of days, every week, or whatever it might be, is just the way to go with engaging with the community and keeping people, let's say, happy, right? And I think doing that in the overworld is going to have mostly positive impacts. Now, it's a little bit tricky to balance that sort of stuff, but really how I see it is if your run costs 10 cents or whatever, you can play 24 hours a day, All right. And what that means is you capture 100 atlases and maybe you sell 90 of them. And lots of people are selling 90 of them. And there's so much more volume going into the market. I think the volume is going to have a really big impact because now you can go in, you can capture a bunch of stuff and you can sell some of it. I don't think you're going to make like a 10, 20% of your money back, but it's enough to help you fill up those competitive decks and things like that. So I think volume is key. The more alluvials you actually get into the system, the cheaper they will be and the easier it will be for people to fill out the competitive decks. So we've got to really figure out what we're focusing on with Illuvium. And I think a highly competitive scene is going to lift every aspect of Illuvium up. The land game, the overworld, the PvP and everything. It's going to lift it all up, even the Eluva decks, all the economics of everything. I think just making sure the game is accessible and easy for people to get involved with and rank up and all the rest of it, that's going to be really key here. I think making sure that I don't think decks have to be a certain price, but I think the progression's important here. That's been the big part of Pokemon for me is you get through the game and now you have this team of Pokemon that you spent 20, 30 hours capturing and you go and take them into a competitive battle, you get wrecked, and then you go capture some more. You know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah, keeping the progression alive is the most important thing here. And then the decks will come.
Yeah. What do you... I'm reading this now, and I want to ask you another question after as well. But what do you think about this? So if you want mass adoption, it's important to have nice awards to attract people from traditional gaming. And then the second comment, all TFT players will come to Illuvium if they experience the same game experience, but with award possibilities. Do you think that it's like... it won't be a loaded question, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think TFT already has award mechanisms, so I don't think he's wrong or anything like that. He or she, I don't know.
They, then, the
but TFT does already have award systems. Most games do. It's called a battle pass. It's called it's cosmetic items, in-game currency. They all already have that. I'm not sure Illuvium is necessarily reinventing the wheel there, but definitely the ability to resell those awards and have full control over them. We still really haven't seen a use case of that having a big impact in gaming, but it might. Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like all of the games that I've recently picked up, I haven't been awarded for, and like I'm busy as hell, but I still took the time out to. I don't know, like if you think about it, what are the games that I played recently? It's been what, Hogwarts Legacy. There's no award from that. What's the other one? Star Wars. No award for that. What else have I played? Fire Emblem. No award for that. Spider-Man Miles Morales. No award for that.
I think that's different to me. You just named 4 single-player games. I think multiplayer is a little bit better at that drip feeding sort of thing. Even Call of Duty, you're ranking up or you're getting a new cosmetic item, you're getting a new gun. I think that's all award mechanisms.
That's what I was getting at in regard, like what Roger just said. Entertainment is the reward. Like, even if I went to go watch Fast. I know this is super anecdotal, and I hate using anecdotal stuff, but in regards to like, I went to go watch Fast and Furious. What was the award? Like, it was just a fun movie. Like, it's just stupid. You know what I mean? And you just enjoy that shit. Like, I legit downloaded the new Spider-Man's Miles Morales. That's new. It's not new. It's like so. But why did I do that? I was like, the first one was the thing that got me was the first one was fun. So I was like, this new one should be good as well. I heard good things. And it was a couple of years old, and I just went back to play it. So I definitely real yield with tournaments that I agree with, but that takes time. Like, it's not going to be the game is out. Let's just do this. Like, it takes time. And what I was going to ask you, Scoriox, was what do you think makes more sense from a? I know again we're sticking on this conversation, but I love this format that we can free flow with. But what are your thoughts? And let us know in chat as well. I really want to hear what you guys think. When we have PvP, that is when I think we really start to reach out to TFT players, Hearthstone players, right? But what do you think? Do you think our first iteration of PvP is when we reach out to the largest TFT players? Or do you think we reach out to that middle tier of TFT players that stream the content side of things? Because they're more likely going to be open to it. And 2, if they start playing it and getting involved, the guys on top might also be like, oh, what's going on? Or do you reckon it makes more sense to go straight to the top? And what's the reason for your decision? And let us know in chat as well. I'm genuinely, I didn't really think too much of it. I was always like, I'll just go straight to the top. But after this conversation, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just something that I'm thinking of. I wanted to put it out right now. But what do you think?
You're gonna find this interesting. I'm over betas, to be honest. It's starting to get real demoralizing where you're playing a game and the game's not out. It's just a test. And I know, like, for the first beta, it was a bit different. But as you get to the third and the fourth beta, it's like, it's a little bit rolling the eyes kind of thing. But, like, what the last thing I would want to see happen is you give a beta to all these creators and they play the game, but they've got nowhere to go. Retention is what matters here. You want them to be playing the game all day, every day, mostly because they enjoy it, but just because it becomes a part of their repertoire. But a beta can't do that. There's no progression. There's no leveling up. There's no nothing. There's nothing for the audience, let alone the creator, to actually attach onto. So they're going to play it for a week or two and then stop. And I'm not sure how much good that actually does. It certainly gets a lot more eyes on the project and more people watching it. But, I mean, if you're like anything like me, I sign up to an email list and I stop looking after 2 emails, right? Yeah. That's what I'm afraid of. So I definitely think very slow rollout. Find the ones that you know are going to come back later. Don't bother with the big players yet. Make sure that they have a full game to play with. And that's kind of where I would sit with that. That's
the kind of thought that I just had, honestly, in this thing, and you guys can see that I'm figuring this out on the spot as well. But yeah, I agree, because it's like, what's the actual goal? Like, short-term impressions are great. Oh, we get the biggest guys and they play us one time. Great, not an issue at all. But then what happens? They get bored, and if they get bored, that's a negative emotion attached to Illuvium, and that's not good for consumer psychology. Whereas if we aim for not the bottom guys, but if we aim for that middle tier of creators, I think what that does is they're more open and they're more forgiving regardless, right? Like they're not the big shot callers that kind of have a bit of an ego, but they still hold some weight and they're actually down to continue playing and providing their feedback. Whereas the guys on top are going to be like, whatever, we're just going to go back here. So yeah, it's just something that I've been thinking about in this thing.
The other thing for me is gamers specifically, but most people on this earth, right, are highly competitive. I don't know. I haven't played it myself yet, and I probably will at some point. But you've probably noticed that only up game is trending like crazy.
Yeah.
There's really one reason for that. Streamers found the game and thought it was enjoyable. Then the other streamers wanted to compete with them. And the reason they get so much viewership and everyone really loves watching it is because everyone's competing against each other. The viewers went, oh, he's stuffed up, I could do better than that. They go get the game and they play it and things like that. You start heavy rolling out something that not everyone can access. You're not really engaging anyone. I think it's a bit tricky.
That's the big thing, right? It doesn't matter what kind of impressions you get if the game is still closed to the majority of the public. And I just want to address control. Is anyone saying that it needs to be like not accessible? I think you were saying like $250 a month. I didn't hear you say $250 a month to stay competitive, right? Am I tripping?
I said like $1K a year, maybe
a year. Yeah, but even that I think is a bit excessive. But
playing the game is not. It's not a one-day thing. I hate. I can't stand the idea. I can't stand the idea of someone coming in and getting a competitive deck on day one. It feels really weird to me. I would expect the competitive scene to not start until 2 to 3 months in. I'm hoping that's when everyone gets a feel for the competitive scene and things like that. And really, if a single competitive deck costs 200, then 200 over 3 months is very reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's some people are starting to miss this sort of thing with like, it's a progression thing. You want people to come in and play every day and slowly build up their team. You don't want anyone buying a competitive deck off the market on day one. It doesn't really work for me. For me personally, I think I'm going to be all about the journey, honestly. But yeah.
I mean, some people are gonna want to buy it, but yeah, we'll see. And your $1,000 price point for a year, that's $83 a month, which isn't overly crazy, honestly. But yeah, open beta is the time to go big on the influencers. Yeah. And it's one of those weird things because you need to develop a relationship. It's not just open beta. Oh, hey guys, we're here. Like it's a thing that takes time. So that's why I say, like, I think for PvP we should start aiming for the middle tier content creators of these strategy games, card games, TFT, because that'd be, again, like I said, be more open. And at that point, we can try and bring some of them on, and then over time, we kind of work up. But yeah,
I still think, I think, like we've talked about it already on the stream and stuff like that. I still think word of mouth is king. I think all of this isn't going to matter as much if the game is good, and then you just need a couple key players, and word of mouth will spread pretty quick. I think
exactly.
I don't think it's going to be a major issue.
But the game needs
you
to
don't
be good.
want to, yeah, and you definitely don't want to burn people out before the game comes out. That's the only thing I'm afraid of.
And that's with betas. I think that's the truthfully, that's the issue. That's the issue with betas, especially like looking at how other people do it now. They've legitimately had betas for a couple of days or a week, and then they've closed them back up. And it's like, damn, maybe there's validity to that, right? Like you give them a taste.
I hate that even more. I hate that even more. I lose crazy amount of interest when that happens. When I get given a beta, I get to play it for one day and then it gets shut down. I'm like,
okay, that's why I say a day is a bit crazy.
No,
but I mean,
even a week or 2 weeks. It's just
right. I think Diablo. I don't know. I think Diablo did it really well, man. Like they had the beta for a week or a weekend in like a couple months back, and then they came out with early access. But I wasn't gonna play Diablo. I wasn't interested at all. And I played again. I'm using anecdotal evidence, which isn't really great for the conversation. But I wasn't gonna play it. I tried the beta and I said, "Oh, this is actually pretty fun." Ended up buying the game, and haven't played it. So I mean, they got my money, but they haven't got my time.
I think distance to launch is a bit different though, and that being a Web 2 company lends itself to that as well. I think playing a beta and you're like, the game's going to come out in 3 months. I can remember 3 months, and it'll be publicized a lot and things like that. But if you play a beta and you're like, either I don't know when the game is going to come out, or it's going to come out in 1 year plus from now, you're just not going to keep up with it. Yeah. Unless it was an exceptional game, and maybe Diablo had that as well. You're just not going to keep up with it. It's just that simple.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think the beta thing is an interesting thing, and we're kind of working through it now. Yes, I agree. Obviously, as someone on the marketing team, there needs to be some corporate marketing. I'll kind of phrase it that way, but I think the majority is organic. And that's a testament to you, man, in regards to your content. Dude, the fact that you're smashing out as much content, building up, and that's organic. That's all organic. Yeah. And I think that's the reason you have the reputation you have in the community. So I think that, and again, the truth is, this kind of thing, there's no kind of quick rocket to the top. It's slow, it's grindy, it takes time. It legitimately takes time.
I didn't expect it to be this grindy, to be honest. That wasn't the YouTube dream that was sold to me, TSG.
Well, that's exactly that, but that's what it is, right? Like that's what it is, and that's what it is here as well. Like it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a thing. Scoriox is a page. I mean, yeah.
I think though, like I do see marketing as kind of like the spark that lights the fire. You're gonna get it in front of people somehow. I mean, I've even started working a bit more with the marketing team at my day job and things like that. And well, they've had no marketing up until this point, and we're doing even more research into it and things like that. And they're starting to realize that, we don't really have a social media presence. We should probably get onto that. Or no one's going to just remember our name at all. It doesn't matter how big you are, how much money you make. You gotta put something out there. You gotta make yourself recognizable somehow. It's quite interesting.
Agreed.
All right, let's jump on to the next one.
Yeah, damn.
What do we got here? All right. I just wanted to shout out Jimbo for a hot minute, because I've been seeing a lot of his tweets in my feed lately, and they've kicked off some really interesting discussion. I go through the comments, I read it all and things like that. We're not going to jump into any of them specifically too much, but even this one, he wanted to ask kind of like why you're unhappy with the extended 3 days. And I went through this and I read it all, and I've kept it all in mind for the marketing sub council and everything like that. So Yeah, he's been doing really good work. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's an extension of community sub council a role, but if it helps him do his job better, then I'm all for it, of course. But yeah.
Now, I think it's funny that this is the topic that came up just after the conversation. But yeah, Jimbo, in my opinion, is a perfect example of someone who's doing shit organically. Like, he's legit out on the floor talking, like actually helping people out. And yeah, no, I have nothing but love and respect for Jimbo. Long live the face of Illuvium.
Yeah, so good stuff there. All right. So the next one I'll go in is stop the partnerships with fancy studios. I don't really have a lot to say here. If you wanted to weigh in, TSG, I think everyone on this is pretty much in agreement that they want to stop the partnership with fancy studios. I honestly didn't think we were like officially partnered with them, so I want to investigate that before anything. But yeah,
I won't lie. You put this into the document. I kind of skimmed it really quickly. I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure that this isn't what's being discussed isn't an Illuvium X fancy anything. I'm pretty sure it's an Illuvium X DQuest, and DQuest reached out to a bunch of partners. I don't think it's. I might be wrong. I haven't been privy to any of these conversations, so as far as I'm aware, this is an Illuvium X DQuest thing. DQuest reaching out to a bunch of partners to get involved in this, but I don't think this is an Illuvium X fancy thing. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
Think this is a necessary conversation. Yeah.
Let's move on. All right. This one is where it starts to get really interesting. Okay. Now, this was the intent of the previous council, and Annie being on the new strategy sub-council, obviously, among the rest of us, have conveyed that intent to them. And I'm glad they've taken it on board and gone through with this. So, long story short, there was a safety pool proposal to help fund the DAO in the case macroeconomic conditions got worse or whatever else might be. And the idea, Danny, we asked Danny for his best advice, and he instructed that 15 mil in terms of added runway would be a great place to be. That it's just that simple. There's a little bit of other information. I can't really talk about it too much, but Danny suggested 15 mil. That's what we went with. Okay. It had about 3.5 mil in it. And then we did the capital raise for 10 mil, which was 13.5. But that 10 mil capital raise doesn't technically go into the safety pool. Okay. So that's why they've made an ICCP here where they're basically discussing, and it's got mostly upvotes, some downvotes. So I'll have to double check on this discussion. But basically, they're lowering it from 15 mil to 5 mil because technically they've also got the 10 mil capital raise. So it's still 15 mil, but they're just kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's and keeping it a bit more transparent. And I would suspect all the downvotes here are people that are like, oh, let's just keep it safe until the game comes out, sort of a thing, which is very valid reasoning. But I mean, the Illuvium hasn't been in a better position than it is right now. And I know many people probably disagree with me, but yeah, it's doing pretty well. As soon as PvP comes out, no one's going to care about any of these conversations anymore, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's optimistic. No, yeah, look, I personally, like you said, there's 3.5 in the safety pool currently. I personally would have loved to keep it at least 10 or even 7.5 or 10. I'm pretty risk adverse, so I would much rather just be extra safe than sorry. But even then, to be honest, like it looks like this is truthfully more an optics thing because this 3.5, if we drop it to 5 or 10, are we really expecting to raise another 2 mil before launch? I mean, potentially with Eluvatars Wave 2, but yeah, like, are we even going to reach that 5? I don't know. That's a question. And then if we were to put it up to 7, even 7.5, would we reach that? We've only got 6 months? Damn, less than. We're almost at the end of June, so 5 months, essentially, before the end of Q4, which is when we're trying to get open beta out. Are we going to fill that up anyway? I don't know. Like, I spoke to a couple of the guys on the team because I was gonna put my my thoughts into the chat, saying that I'd much rather be safe than sorry. But I've been reassured that the people that I've spoken to are like, no, they're on board. Everything's fine with it. So I mean, if they're on board, I trust their judgment. I think they're way more experts than I am in this field. So I'll take it. I'm just very risk adverse, and so I mean, we weren't going to use the safety pool unless we absolutely needed to. So even if we held on to it for a little bit, what's really the issue? But I get it. Opportunity cost, this, that. I get it. And also the buying pressure of RevDiz helps the token. So that was something that honestly was one factor I didn't take into account in my thought process. So I'm being transparent about that there.
We had weeks and weeks of discussion before we even built the safety pool. And I think a lot of people underestimate just how well off we are. Now it's hard without seeing kind of PvP is kind of like the puzzle that fits everything together, really. But really we've got runway until early, maybe even mid 2025 at this point. If you include things like the liquidity in the pools and even Kieran's tokens that he set aside and all the rest of it. So the DAO is actually in a pretty good position. I'm in no rush. I think it really comes down to, you're right. What do we gain from starting to do RevDiz and things like that? And what we stand to gain is maybe 1 cent per token every month, because we're not really generating revenue. So by extension, I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's no harm in leaving the safety pool for now until the game comes out, till revenue starts, and then making a decision. And yeah, I agree. I could go either way. I like the idea of bringing it down, to stay with the initial ethos, but I could go either way.
Yeah, I'm not going to die on any hill for this one. I'll trust the experts.
Fair enough. Okay. This one's quite an interesting one. We're getting through to the end, guys. Don't worry.
Yo, I love that we always say it's going to be a short episode. It never is.
All right.
We should just stop saying that. We should stop saying that.
Do you want to run this display one for me?
Yeah. So essentially, it's just, I forget who it was. It might have been Oscar Matt to come up with this idea, right? Or I don't remember. But an idea came out. I don't know who Roger's speaking to. I don't know who came up with this idea of selling disc plates to others so that they could print it out. Oh, selling the rights to your Eluvatar, I guess.
Yeah, like renting it.
Yeah, to print it out as a disc plate. I fucking for a price. I fucking love this idea. And yes, I've seen the feedback that Venom will put. Oh, we can just screenshot it and print it out elsewhere. Completely fine. Is that going to be of the same quality that we get? That Roger's doing? I don't know, right? I don't know. But also, if we're really a part of the community, would we not want to partake in and support each other, right? Like if for example, I know that, like, my plan of having the 3 starters here, the Archie, the Atlas, and the Rampy, right? But the chances of me getting I've got the Hollow Atlas and the Hollow Archie, but are we gonna get the Hollow? Am I gonna get the Hollow Rampy? I mean, shit, the chances are pretty slim. Sorry, I'm cussed. Yeah, they're pretty slim. But let's say, man, I'll use Roger in chat. Imagine if Roger got the Hollow Rampy. Dude, I would, and I love what Roger does. I love everything that he does for the community, and obviously the work that he's put in. I would absolutely love to choose to pay him a little bit extra and let him get a cut, so I can complete my set. You know what I mean? To me, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, if you're trying to like undercut the community, or you don't know the person, you have no affinity to them. Yeah, you screenshot and print it out yourself. I get that, but I mean, if you're actually for the community, bro, what's, and I disagree with what Oscar Matt said in regards to having a set price. I think they should have it as a free market and let that, like, so if Roger decides to put it at $300, I'd tell him to go, excuse my language, fuck himself. Whereas if he put it at like $25, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Like, and that's where supply and demand economics comes in. And I think that's where the fun really is. It's like trying to understand, how do you maximize profits, right? Like that's what it is. You're trying to maximize your supply for demand, this and that. I like this idea with a free market. Yeah, screenshotting and printing isn't going to work, so it's a pretty okay. There, see, I don't even know, but and that's also that. I mean,
why wouldn't it work, Roger?
We should bring Roger onto the call right now. But yeah, like I would understand with hollows it probably wouldn't work. I don't know why it wouldn't work for the non-hollows, but. What do you think, Roger? If you want to come on, message me. I'll bring you on for this little topic. But shit, otherwise, Scarks, what do you think?
I think the big argument against the JPEG screenshot and things like that are they're not official. They're not official merchandise, which is a big selling point for a lot of people. I'm a big collector. I understand official, not official, signs of authenticity and all the rest of it. That being said, I think that would be a really sweet addition. What if you got an Eluvatar printed and then you received an NFT in your wallet that was like a certificate of authenticity or a commemorative NFT to say you've printed it and things like that. And now you have a digital representation. This is basically my thesis from 5 years ago. You have a digital representation of how many of that disc plate have actually been produced in its lifetime. Maybe like, I'm the only one that's gotten this disc plate printed and things like that. And it's very simple. It's not costing anyone any money, really. But it's just showing proof that you own official merch, which is a really sweet thing to have. You're not selling it to anyone. No one's going to buy it from you. It's kind of pointless without the thing. It's just, but I think it would be a really neat added thing, and it would just give this entire concept even more validity. I never really thought about free market, but I like that. I like the idea of, I know renting it out is already affiliate type thing, but I like the idea of making it slightly cheaper, having a default minimum value. For example, if Oscar Matt lent out one of his Eluvatars to me, I think he has a Ramfire or whatever. If he lent out the Ramfire to me, then I would pay the $75, but he would get $5 of that. And Illuvium loses $5 off the purchase, but they're promoting the volume and all the rest of it. But then free market, he could also increase it above that. But at least he has a default thing if he wants to give it out for free to people. I think that'd be interesting. But yeah.
I just want to say, like, if we can track that in the NFT as well, like, that actually adds a lot more utility to Eluvatars as a whole as well. Because imagine if you're buying an Eluvatar and you've seen that, it's got, I'm gonna be crazy here, but like, let's say it's got thousands of people that have printed that exact one. The value of that goes insanely, like, much higher, right? Then you're like, all right, how much am I actually willing to pay for this if I know it's going to bring in this much money? It's it's a fascinating idea. I love this idea. I don't know if it's being thought of by the team in that way, but I absolutely love that idea. Like, legitimately, when I heard, I was like, this is, because I was like, I want to collect the 3 starters. There's no way, and I want to get all the hollows. So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get a hollow Rampy. Like, there's just, dude, I got one tier 5. I've opened 400, like more than 500 discs. I was like, there's no chance I'm gonna get a hollow Rampy. Not possible. So I was like, if someone could do that for me, shit. It's been in the docs. Damn, there you go.
That's high.
Yeah, cool.
Aaron's got everything already planned out, like 10 years in advance. It's insane.
There's way too many docs. There's way too many docs.
I want to read them. I love that sort of stuff.
Oh man, it's nuts. But yeah, sick. I love that. I think it's a great idea. Apparently, it's already planned. So yes, well done.
Sounds good to me. I'm looking forward to that leaderboard extension, Roger. Get onto it.
Yeah, Roger. As the person working on art, please get on the leaderboard. Get that out there for us.
All right, we better start wrapping up. Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for coming on to our show and having a good one. We covered some really interesting topics today. Had some good discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe down below. If you haven't got yourself some merch yet, use the code Scoriox5 at checkout.
TSG5. Hook a brother up.
Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah. If you're buying merch, use TSG5 for a 5% discount. Do it. Go.
Oh God.
No, I appreciate you, man.
I am not a paid shill. All right.
I am, because I work on the team. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Peace.
And with that, the download is complete.